A ceasefire between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has come into force, bringing a potential end to more than a year of intense fighting and aerial assaults that have left thousands dead and many more displaced. These are live pictures from Tyre in South Lebanon there. We've seen some of the heaviest exchanges of fire on both sides. The Lebanese army has warned people not to return to the area until the Israeli army has withdrawn. And these are the live pictures of the skyline over Beirut, which has seen intense bombardment on an almost daily basis as Israel tried to dismantle Hezbollah. In the hours just leading up to the deadline, there was no let-up from the Israeli military as it continued to hit parts of Beirut's southern suburbs shortly after issuing an evacuation order. So here's the outline of the deal, which was effective from 4 a.m. local time. Hezbollah will withdraw its forces from southern Lebanon, moving around 30 kilometres back from the Israeli border, north of the Litani River. In turn, there will be a phased withdrawal of Israeli troops from southern Lebanon, which they invaded 2 months ago in response to almost a year of Hezbollah rocket attacks. They will be replaced by the regular Lebanese army alongside an existing UN force that's already there, known as UNIFIL. Well, the agreement echoes the deal agreed to end the war in 2006 under UN Resolution 1701. Any potential violations of the ceasefire will be directed to the US, who helped broker the deal. While speaking to the Israeli people in a national address, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his government would approve the deal and outlined his reasons for doing so.
So why go into a ceasefire now? There are three main reasons. The first, focusing on the Iranian threat. And I don't want to expand on that. The second, to allow our forces to refresh and to also allow our resources to be replenished. It is no secret that there have been some delays in the supply of ammunition and arms, and this delay is going to be removed. We're going to have advanced weapons, and that will save the lives of our soldiers, and it will give us great force to complete our missions. Another third reason for the ceasefire is to disconnect the two arenas and isolate Hamas. Since the second day of the war, Hamas relied on Hezbollah to fight alongside it. But with Hezbollah out of the picture, Hamas will be left on its own.
Let's speak now to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Knell, who's in Jerusalem. Hi, Yolande. What's the reaction been there to this deal?
Quite a mixed reaction, I would say. There's one poll that was carried out by Israel's Channel 12 TV, and it found 37% of Israelis in favour and 32% against. Now, among those who've been against, you have opposition leaders and the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who voted against this in Israel's security cabinet. But you also have, importantly, many residents of the north of Israel. And Israel had set as one of its war goals the aim that it should be able to get these some 60,000 people returned safely to their homes. They have been displaced by more than a year of fighting that has gone on between Hezbollah and Israel. Of course, Hezbollah began firing rockets in support of Hamas in Gaza the day after the deadly 7th of October attacks. And really what's been coming through from those people in the north of the country is that they do not feel safe to go back to their homes. They had been asking for a sort of depopulated buffer zone to be created by the Israeli military on the Lebanese side of the border. That is not something that has happened.
And Yolande, just remind us, what has Israel committed to do under the terms of this deal?
So the Israeli military is supposed to withdraw from southern Lebanon over the next 60 days in stages. And then as a result of that, you will have thousands more regular Lebanese soldiers going into the south of Lebanon alongside UN peacekeepers. You have this mechanism that has been set up where the US and France will join the UN UNIFIL peacekeeping force in basically sort of determining whether there have been any potential violations. There'll be much more supervision, they say, than there has been in the past of these arrangements that have now been set up. But the Israelis have been really stressing that they have maintained a right, freedom of action. They've got a guarantee of this, they say, when it comes to any violations that they spot of Hezbollah, where it comes to rearming and you know, potentially kind of preparing themselves for attacks against Israelis. We will strike decisively, the Israeli Prime Minister said when he was speaking. And already we have had at least one skirmish that we're hearing about along the Israel-Lebanon border, where the Israeli military says that it shot at some suspects, as they called them, who were approaching the Lebanese village of Kila, which is close to the Israeli border, and said that the suspects then fled. The Israeli military will act against anyone who tries to violate the ceasefire agreement. Now, the Israeli military said also, just after the ceasefire came into effect, really it was warning people with more than 1 million Lebanese having been displaced by the fighting, most of them in the last few weeks, where Israel has been carrying out this ground offensive in the south of Lebanon. It warned people not to rush back to their homes in the south, saying that there still was this Israeli military presence there. And you know, one of the mayors of a northern town, Metula, warned as a result of what happened. He said that he had seen 12 Hezbollah operatives and that there shouldn't have been the need for these warning shots to be fired. And he said for him it was evidence that the agreement Israel had reached was a disgraceful one.
OK, Yolande, thank you for that. Well, our Middle East correspondent Hugo Bashega gave us this update from Sidon in the south of Lebanon.
So this is the main highway between Beirut and the south of the country, and this ceasefire has been in place for hours now, and almost immediately after this ceasefire came into effect, thousands of people have started the journey down south, and this has been the case for hours here. There is a massive traffic jam here with families trying to go back to towns and villages in the south of the country, despite warnings from the Israeli military and also by the Lebanese authorities telling people not to try to go back now, because this is obviously a gradual process, a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces. There's still a presence of Israeli troops in the south of the country. So the Lebanese authorities say that they are now working to deploy thousands of additional Lebanese soldiers, as Hezbollah is also removing its fighters and weapons from the south as part of the deal. Now, we've been talking to people here. They say that they haven't been defeated. Obviously, Hezbollah has been degraded as a result of weeks of airstrikes, also Israeli attacks that essentially killed the entire leadership of the group. They say this is a victory, the scenes of people returning to their homes. They are, celebrating this moment and saying that this is a victory. So we've seen Hezbollah flags, people celebrating, also people carrying, posters with the face of the late Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. So this is the scene now as people are starting to go back to the south of the country as a result of this ceasefire. The hope is that this 60-day ceasefire will bring an end to this conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. So there will be this withdrawal of Israeli troops from the south. Hezbollah will remove its fighters and weapons from the south of the country, and the Lebanese military will deploy 5,000 additional soldiers to their part of the country. I think there is obviously the focus here on implementation. So the Lebanese military will boost its deployment in the south. There's also, there will be a boost of UN peacekeeping forces in the south of the country. And there will be this international monitoring mechanism led by the United States. And what we heard last night from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is that Israel would retain the right to attack Lebanon if there is any violation of the deal. And this has been a guarantee that was given by the Americans, he said. Now, obviously, this is extremely controversial in this country, something that, an Israeli demand that was rejected by the Lebanese authorities because this is seen as a violation of the country's sovereignty.
Thanks to Hugo for that update.